Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer. We are a middle-aged couple. We have this ever-deepening appreciation for movie popcorn.
We do.
And a Regal Unlimited subscription.
Except we didn't go to Regal this time. So
We didn't.
We didn't get the Regal popcorn.
We cheated.
We
got
went to
better
the Alamo
popcorn.
Draft House and got the real popcorn with the real butter.
Yep.
Man, that stuff's good.
It's like crack.
They bring you a giant mixing bowl full of popcorn, and there's a stick of butter at the bottom of it.
And they would bring you more if you asked for more.
When we've done that, we did ask for more once.
Yeah.
And got more.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It was disgusting, but in the best way.
So it's very late. We're in our PJs.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to record a video because tonight we saw a movie.
Yes, we did.
Jennifer, what movie did we see?
We saw From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
I'm just going to call it Ballerina.
Yes.
And in fact, you're going to see this video is going to be titled Ballerina because
Yes.
I cannot be bothered.
Yes.
Which is not to say this was a bad movie.
Yeah.
Perfectly good movie.
Oh, yeah. No, it just, it being, I thought it was called Ballerina from the World of John Wick, and then I was looking for something else on IMDb, and it's listed on IMDb as From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. And I just felt like saying that because it's so dumb.
So we're not actually stalling. This is a movie we're perfectly happy to talk about.
Yeah.
It's Ana de Armas now doing all the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And intriguingly enough, the director was smart enough to show that Ana de Armas is not as tough and dangerous as John Wick.
Well, because she's new.
Yes.
What you see is her, like, her first times as ass kicker assassin person, and then the big thing of her vengeance thing that, you know, you can tell from the commercials, there's a whole big vengeance thing. That whole vengeance thing, you know, is new. She's new to actually being in this world. But for somebody who's new to actually being in this world, like, you know, were she given another chance and another movie and more time to develop, she would obviously be as magical an ass kicker as John Wick, because she basically is as magical an ass kicker as John Wick up until
John Wick comes into the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, she can't
Which
be
you've
better
seen
than him.
you saw in the trailer. I'm
Yeah.
not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Yes, the two of them have to fight, and it's not exactly the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
It's clearly they were like, we have to put Keanu Reeves in this movie for 5 minutes, and
Because he's an executive producer and it's in the world of John Wick. So you
Yeah.
can't put it in the world of John Wick and not have John Wick in the movie.
not the best part of this movie. The best part of this movie is the nightclub fight.
Interesting. Huh.
What do you think?
Okay.
Do you disagree?
You know, there were so many fights that came after that that I think the best part, even though it makes, you know, it's not like John Wick is, even the very first movie before they knew that they could go off the total deep end. But it's not like these movies are a real accurate representation of things like physics. But this movie is like Bugs Bunny physics when it comes to weapons and the consequences of weapons. And so again, this is not a spoiler because this is intimated in the trailer, but there's a much longer sequence than you would imagine with flamethrowers that I think might be the best sequence in the film, even though it's absolutely
again,
physically impossible,
totally wrong.
Even beyond impossible.
The flamethrowers literally have a big tank on them marked propane.
Let me tell you, that's actually not the problem here. Yes, I realize that is physically impossible,
okay. It's not
but
impossible. It wouldn't.
It doesn't work.
Hurt anybody.
It doesn't work the way they are showing it to work.
I mean, I wouldn't want to have a propane flame shot in my face, but it's not how flamethrowers work. I'm sorry. Please go on.
Understood. The point is, yes, that is bonkers, wrong science. That's the least wrong of what they have these flamethrowers do. Still, the most entertaining sequence in the movie because it's the least like anything else I've ever seen. But But yeah, it is extraordinarily violent, even
yeah.
for a John Wick movie.
Yes.
It has less dialogue, less plot, and more violence than any John Wick movie. And to a point where it was a little much for me.
It's a lot much for me.
I mean, we saw, what was that movie we saw that Bill Skarsgård was in? Where he just like...
Was that The Crow?
No. Yes, I mean, he was in The Crow.
Boy versus World?
Is it Boy versus World, or it's Boy something World? That like 5 people saw this movie, and it is redonkulously violent martial arts movie. Like, hard to watch, redonkulously violent.
There's a ton of plot in that movie.
There's more plot in that movie than there is in Ballerina. But the point of bringing it up was, for me, that movie is like really, is probably the most violent movie I didn't walk out of. And this movie was fairly close. But it was all done really well. Like, all of the action scenes, which is most of the movie, are done well. They're choreographed well. You can follow the action. You can follow her and whoever else she's fighting. Yeah. And when
beautifully shot.
Yeah, when she dispatches one and moves on to the next, you can see which dude is which. You know what I mean? It's like...
You always feel like that these fight scenes not only have been choreographed, but that the art director has gone in and said, here's the set that we're going to be on. What can you do with the fact that there's a door here, but there's not a door here? And how do we shoot this? So like there's a shot where there's a wooden wall. It's like a decaying wooden wall in a ruin somewhere. And there's a door set into the wall. And the door is over on the right side of the screen. And so somebody gets thrown through the door. The ballerina chases that person through the now empty doorway. And for a second, you can't see either of them. You just hear fight noises. And then they both burst back through the part of the wall that doesn't have a door.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was like so brilliant.
Yeah.
There's so much great stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
And they just forgot to add like some really basic elements of movie making, like a plot.
There is a plot. There actually is a pretty clear plot.
Oh, we could tell you this plot in 5 words.
We could, but
4.
But it's clearer than the plot of John Wick's 2, 3, and 4. John Wick 1 has a very clear plot. I don't really remember what 2, 3, and 4 are about. You know what I mean? Like, there's like stuff happening and like this Baroque world and like all this creation of this Baroque world. None of that really sticks, right? Like, what sticks is like the really violent parts. So the plot of this movie is vanishingly simple, is actually crystal clear with all this Baroque shit around it, right? But even with the simple plot, there just isn't a lot of dialogue. Like, it is...
Most of the dialogue is screams. Yeah.
You know, like, yeah. And, yeah, it's... I mean, you said somebody said the movie...
more grenade blasts than there are words of dialogue in this movie.
Quite possibly.
Somebody said the name of what?
No, I can't remember who said that the movie is 93 minutes long, which it feels like it was longer to me than that. But that it's a movie-length movie.
That's shorter than any of the John Wick films, I think.
Maybe, but it's probably 70 minutes of action sequences. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just lots
it literally
and lots
does not stop. We were talking
from
about
the very beginning.
There's a famous scene in, like, I think John Wick 2, where he's at the Continental and he goes to the armorer to get some new guns and get his bulletproof jacket and the whole thing. And that scene is allowed to breathe and given a chance to play out. And it ends in a fade to black and him saying thank you for your business and walking out the door. And this movie almost has the same scene, except that 30 seconds into it, armed gunmen burst down the door and start attacking.
Yep.
So I remember John Wick 3 especially, there's an incredibly long set piece in a museum. Or maybe it's just like a weapon, like a storage facility. I don't know. But it's John Wick in this like endless corridors full of like weapons and guns, killing guys left and right. And it doesn't really amount to anything. That's this entire movie.
Yeah.
It's so very early on in the movie, Angelica Houston, who is
the director
of the
Ruski
Ruski Roma,
Yeah.
which is a culturally complicated name, but we won't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Says that there has to be rules. There need to be rules. She said when you deal with violence, there must be rules. Otherwise,
everyone ends up dead, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, she
everything
said it
burns
more
down,
elegantly.
everything's chaos, something like that.
Elegantly, but
or everything's just chaos. And literally every character in this movie, including John Wick, then proceeds to ignore every possible rule.
Yeah.
Including ones that have been staples of the series.
Yeah.
Like about the Continental and
Yeah.
various things. People ignore these rules because they're mildly inconvenient,
Mm-hmm.
and just no one gives a rat's behind.
Mm-hmm.
There are no consequences
Yep.
other than millions of people dying.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, I meant to look up the body count of this movie because it's
jeez.
very large without there being like a
It's
plane crash and.
really interesting because the first half hour of the movie, she's not allowed to kill anybody.
But there's still
not
plenty
by-
of people that die in the opening sequence,
Yeah.
right? I mean, she's not
Right,
killing them, but a bunch of people die.
Yes, she doesn't kill anybody for like the first half hour of the film.
But
People
that's
are dying
actually
all around
not
her.
true.
I guess that's true. Yeah, okay.
She gets one kill.
Okay, we're not going to spoil this as much as it's possible to spoil this movie. Anyway, so yes, it is just constant violence, constant rule breaking. Rules that were made very, very important in the John Wick movies are completely just trounced.
Yeah.
They're even mentioned in this movie as
Yeah.
being rules.
Yeah.
No one cares. They just keep going. Nobody even stops for a second to think, oh, should I violate this rule or not? And there are no consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think that they were worried that a movie about a woman that is also about her family is going to be would become like something that boys didn't want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, what do boys like watching? And that's literally murder. So they said, okay, we're just going to do the murders.
Yep.
The antagonists in this movie don't actually get a name. That was amazing to me.
Oh yeah, the group. Yeah,
The group
they're
she's
like
fighting,
the cult.
they don't have a name. They're
Yeah.
described as a cult,
Yeah.
but no one actually gives them a name.
Yeah.
There's a name for the village that they live in,
Well,
but it's not. That's not their name.
that's not their name, but it turns out, so like they talk about the village as Hallstatt, and I'm like, oh, well, that's an actual place. Like there's a Paleo-Celtic culture that's called the Hallstatt culture because there's like a famous salt mine there. And then on the way home looking it up, oh, like this town has gotten Instagram famous.
Okay.
And is apparently overrun
It's a very
by
cute town.
South Korean tourists because there was some show that was shot there.
Okay.
And
Well.
so this movie is, if this movie is popular, this will literally not help.
It is
because it is a
amazing.
really, really cute little
Yeah.
tiny like town on a lake that's sitting on top of like the world's oldest continually operating salt mine.
It's amazing how
And yeah.
television drives tourism.
Yeah.
Like, when we were in Iceland in 2019, the tour guide who showed us the wonders of Iceland. Iceland is a magical place that we both love and would love to go back to someday. But we saw all the natural wonders of Iceland, which are bountiful and manifold. And then as we got closer to Reykjavik, he said, oh, by the way, we're going to stop it up at the Althing, which is where they filmed a bunch of Game of Thrones. I swear, every tourist in our group was just like, oh, Game of Thrones. I know that. I've heard of that. I saw that. I saw an episode of that. I saw a preview for that on HBO. And suddenly that was the highlight of the trip.
Well, it's TV shows and it's music videos, right? So, like, there's a ton of places around Iceland that have been in movies and stuff and TV shows and whatever. And he mentioned that at various points along the way and mentioned that we weren't going to take a detour to a plane crash site that has become a big tourist destination because Justin Bieber did a music video there.
Okay.
which I did not know until the tour. Not being a particular follower of his oeuvre, and of the songs of his that I know, I've seen exactly 0 music videos. So I still have not seen the video that this goes with, but it's a American bomber plane that crashed in like the 50s.
Okay.
That's like the sand around this plane crash is like blowing away. So it was like a little bit of plane sticking out of like a black sand beach or something. And so now people come from around the world to see it because they saw it in a Justin Bieber video.
Didn't we see that?
No, we didn't see it.
There was some kind of wreckage that we saw that were the younger of the 2 widows got up on top of it and...
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Okay. That's going to make no sense to anybody
Yeah.
who wasn't on our trip to Iceland.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But we were there.
Let's talk about Ballerina.
Yeah.
Not the Ballerina, just Ballerina.
Ballerina.
And I will say Anna de Armas is amazing in this.
Yeah.
I
I really like her.
We were very excited about this because of the scene in No Time to Die,
Mm-hmm.
which I keep wanting to call Die Another Day.
Which is also a Bond movie, but
Okay.
that one has Halle
No
Berry.
Time to Die, where Daniel Craig and Anna de Armas have an action sequence
That's
is
like 3 minutes
the
long.
high point of that movie.
Literally the only point of that movie I remember besides the end.
Yeah, and it is delightful. She's not having as much fun here. She's supposed to be very grim about the whole thing. And
Well, she also
does.
gets her ass beat throughout this movie.
See, that's what I liked about that nightclub scene.
Yeah.
This is like her first mission, so it's not exactly a spoiler. But so on her first mission, she goes up against a bunch of guys, and in a nightclub, it just happens to have an ice axe in the middle of it for some reason.
It's an ice club. The theme of the club is ice.
Fair enough. And gets her ass handed to her multiple times because she's not
Her instincts aren't quite
she's not a seasoned
perfect.
killer yet. And it's my favorite part of the movie because it's like, I'm like, oh, this character is not John Wick. This is a different kind of character. This is one who is, not invincible and who absolutely has to fight to survive, as opposed to John Wick, who clearly has plot armor and can't die. She's not the Baba Yaga. She's not this feared assassin. And that was the most interesting part of the movie. That's abandoned almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like, literally, and this is tiny little spoiler, but she goes on her first mission, and then we cut to 2 months later, where she finds out about the existence of this cult, and that's it. She's done with missions. She'll never go on another mission. And, yeah, it's not like Black Widow, same story, right?
Yeah.
Russian ballerina training
Yeah.
girl assassins. Black
It's
Widow.
amazing how many people are traumatized by their ballet classes.
Well, they do show you what happens to the ballerina's feet, so that was pretty gross.
Yeah, that might be the actual most accurate thing in this movie.
Yeah, really. So, but anyway, the Black Widow clearly had gone on more than one mission for the Russians. Like, it was, there's this sense of, oh, she has a whole career behind her, and now she's a superhero to try to get redemption for all the horrible things she did. No, not Ballerina. Ballerina went on one mission.
Well, and then she went on the mission that was the mission of her life, which, her life was vengeance.
Yes. And vengeance is easy. It's the easiest plot you can possibly come up with. It gives you an excuse to have lots of action sequences, and then somebody dies, and it's
Yeah.
Okay.
And the large majority of those movies are somebody killed my woman, I gotta go kill him back. And John Wick was unique because it's like somebody killed my puppy, I gotta go kill him back. And then this one is like somebody killed my dad, and I'm a girl and I have tits, and I'm gonna go kill him dead. And that is unusual.
Without spoiling anything else, I don't think we're spoiling much because I think most of that you got from the commercials and the trailer. But this movie, it's aggressively competent. It really, really, really wants to make a good impression, and it does.
Yeah.
The fight choreography is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Of course it is. The the score is great. The lighting is fantastic. Anna de Armas is great at this role. She's given nothing to work with, and she turns it into something that almost works. Everything about this movie is competent. It's great. It's well done. It looks cool. It's cool. It's an extremely loud movie, by the way.
It was extraordinarily loud. I mean, we don't usually go to Alamo, so I don't know how much of it is the sound is turned up way high in Alamo. But it's also like there were points where my butt was like vibrating because the floor was vibrating, and I'm like, if you saw this movie in 4DX or RPX or whatever it is, where like the seats actually are meant to like move and stuff, like, oh my God, you'd just be like
you'd be
pummeled.
Sore. You'd be sore by the end of this. I think that John Wick, there's a sort of like floatiness to the violence where he's just sort of moving so liquid with such liquidity through the scenes of just boom, 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 boom.
Well, it's also
that you never get the visceral impact of a body crunching down on the floor and rolling downstairs.
There's a lot of that in this movie. There's
movie.
Also a lot of axes.
There's a lot of judo in this movie because, of course, she's using the weight of larger opponents against them because she herself is relatively small. Whereas John Wick is a big guy, so he doesn't need to use judo. He can just like punch people and they fall down.
Yes, and shoot them a lot.
Yeah, so she's constantly dropping heavy men on a very unpleasant floor.
Yeah.
And you feel it every time. Anyway, so yeah, really loud movie. I didn't feel like it was dark like so many action movies are these days, including some of the John Wick sequences. I felt like it was appropriately lit. Is this small praise? Not really, because the whole point of this movie is how good it looks, and it looks great.
Yeah.
Just don't expect any kind of story.
Yeah.
Any kind of plot, any kind of character development.
Yeah.
There is zero character development. There are things that happen to this character.
Yeah.
She does not grow.
Yeah.
She does not learn anything from them. That would take 5 seconds of introspection, and this movie does not have time for that. So, yeah, absolutely, if you're a John Wick fan, it's worth your time.
Yes.
It really is. It's better than the Continental TV show.
Yes, it is.
Which I didn't. I enjoyed.
Better.
I enjoyed greatly. I think and the thing about the Continental TV show is because it was a multi-hour show, they actually had to put in a plot and character development. And I think that those things are really fun in that show, but the show itself doesn't add up to a John Wick show.
Yep.
Whereas this is definitely part of the John Wick. This is definitely part of the John Wick universe. And I'm hoping they will make more. I hope that the next time they'll give this character a chance to grow into something.
Or at least have a few more lines.
Ana de Armas absolutely deserves that. She's an incredible actress on top of being an incredible ballerina and choreographed fighter. And yeah, I hope she gets a better movie next time. Not that this was bad, but she deserves better. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
All right, then. Until next time, I guess.
Oh!
Yeah.
This is our 20th video, isn't it?
Well, congratulations to us on 20 videos.
Yeah, right, because I said our next video was going to be the 20th video. This is our 20th video.
Something special?
Well, we should have done something special at the beginning.
Give the audience what they always wanted.
What did they always want?
A little hacha mama, little razzle dazzle.
Oh, yeah, smooch as we can do.
That's as sexy as it's gonna get.
Happy 20th video,
Happy
baby.
20th video, my love. We are gross, we know. All right, until next time.
Bye.